Hi, and welcome back to the Summer Survival Series. We are on day 4 of our 5-part series. This came about as a way to help you as a mom navigate the summer months with ease and enjoyments. So if you're just jumping in, you've missed part 1, 2, or 3, you can head back and listen to those. They are quick, easy episodes with actionable tips that you can put into place right now, this very week, to help you not just survive summer. I know we call this the Summer Survival Series, but really honestly have an awesome summer and really, really thrive in it. So part 1, we talked about routines. Part 2, we talked about a summer vision versus a bucket list. And part 3, we went over why I hate chore charts and what to do instead. So if you missed any of those, be sure to go back and check those out. But today we are jumping into part 4, and we are going to talk about preventing the summer slide and what the summer slide is and summer learning. So the summer slide is referring to the learning that our kids lose during the break from school. The fall back, the summer slide, summer learning loss, it goes by many, many names. It is a real thing. Number one, it is a real thing. There are actual studies on it. There's actual data out there about how much is lost. The statistics, there's different studies, so it kind of ranges a little bit, but around 2 full months of reading is lost. Of like reading progress can be lost. And it can take up to 6 weeks in the fall to relearn the things that you lost during the summer. So getting like that's a big chunk of your next year dedicated to just kind of going over what you learned last year. We want to try to prevent that. We want them heading back in the fall on their best foot, right? Everything that we do as parents is helping to set our kids up for success. And that's what this summer series is all about too. It's helping us as moms be set for success, but also our kids. So that's what we're going into today. And here's the fun thing. The last 3 episodes that we had on routines, our summer vision and bucket lists and planning and chores, all 3 of those actually go to help to prevent summer slide as well. So that's what's really cool because those things put things into place in your summer and in your kids' summer that, believe it or not, help them continue to learn, help them having a routine, which keeps up that consistency. So we're just building. These are building blocks here. So each of those 3 things, you're already ahead of the game here for heading into this part 4, heading into learning how to prevent and avoid the summer slide. But before we jump all the way in, I do want to put this little disclaimer caveat in here about not putting too much worry, not stressing too much, and not putting too much pressure on ourselves as the mom to prevent the summer slide completely, and to give ourselves a little bit of grace if our kids give us a little bit of kickback or a little bit of pushback on this. We're not trying to be homeschool mom. We're not trying to implement summer school. That's not what this is about. That would never, ever work for me. And I know my kids would hate it. This is about having fun and preventing the summer slide in an easy and fun way for you and for your family. So let's dive in. Looking back at those studies that are done on the summer slide, the 2 main areas of your kids' learning that is impacted is in reading and in math. So let's start there. The easiest thing to do is reading, just keeping up on reading. If that's the basic thing you do where it's like read something today, right? I mean, they'll tell you the standard, the baseline you should do is like 20 minutes of reading every single day. But I know that sometimes during the summer, even that can feel a little bit daunting. And all of a sudden you can be like, oh my gosh, when was the last time we read, right? But just having it front of mind is going to help you as well. And then also coming up with actual tangible goals. So something that we are doing in our family is not just goals for our kids for their reading, but setting family reading goals as well. So I've got my stack of TBR to be read books this summer. I know what I kind of want to read. I've gotten recommendations from my friends. I'm a part of a couple of different book clubs. My own, the Positively You book club. We are taking a break for June. We'll be back in July. Um, and then a couple of online book clubs. I have a book club with my cousins. So I'm keeping my reading up as well. So it's not just me telling my kids that they need to do something. I love modeling for my kids and for telling them not telling them what to do, but also being a part of it and showing them. So, discussing with your family what kind of family goals you can have and setting them that are realistic, that are achievable. My 13-year-old can get through a book in a day. So, his reading goal is like, you should read 3 books this summer, like, he's gonna get that done by next Friday. So making sure that they're realistic for you, for your kids, and achievable. And then coming up with a fun way to track progress, whether that's, getting a fun chart or whether it's coloring a cool printable. I know Everyday Reading, that account is so fantastic for anything reading related. She always has, like, a fun little printable that you can get the color that you can color in all of your stuff. So, reading charts, graphs, things that you can mark off, and then coming up with a fun, like, reward system, whether that is a fun outing, whether that is if you read a book that has a movie associated with it, then you get to have, like, family movie night after and watch the movie of the book you read. Um, an ice cream date. I remember as a kid, I'm gonna date myself here because I maybe they still do it. Do they still do the Book It program? Do you know? Um, do you remember getting the reading goals and you get the Book It reward and you'd go to Pizza Hut to claim your personal pan pizza, and it was the greatest pizza of all time? I freaking loved that. So coming up with something fun like that, some kind of reward that your kids are looking forward to read. The other thing that I'm really looking forward to doing is a readathon day. Going back again to your childhood and to school, do you remember the days where you would earn a readathon day at school and you got to bring your blanket and your pillow, maybe a stuffed animal? If your teacher was super cool, she also turned it into like a pajama day. You could bring a flashlight, you could build a fort, you could sometimes bring treats, and you would just set up in your favorite corner of your classroom or under some desks or pile together some chairs and make yourself your own little fort, your own little refuge. And you got to have a fun readathon day. I am going to implement this in our family for one of those days when we're so bored, or one of those days where we've had way too much sun the day before and everyone's energy levels have just plummeted. Fantastic opportunity for a readathon day. Or when I just kind of want to get my own reading done and want to pretend that I'm fun mom, but I really am not. And we all just read. So the setup for this, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Literally think back to when you had a readathon as a kid in school and do all those things. Let's throw on our pajamas. Let's get our slippers. Let's grab our comfy blankets and our pillows. Let's set up forts. You can either dedicate one room in your house and have you all together if that would work for your family. I know depending on the day, this may or may not work for mine. Or separate everyone into their own. You go to this room, you go to this room, you go to this room. You could turn down the lights. You could turn on some fun lights. Like we've got this starry projector light that you could turn on there. Maybe even some fun background music if you wanted. Depending on the ages of your kids, you could turn it into read aloud. You could have book themed snacks. You could also have, okay, we're going to read for an hour and then we're going to share our favorite part or the thing that we learned, right? Make it interactive with your kids and fun. And now that my wheels are turning a little bit, I think this would be a super fun idea to do with just your friends. So, like, seriously, I know we're talking about kids right now and preventing the summer slide, but how fun would it be to invite a group of your mom friends over? Bring the book that they've been trying to get done reading. You get to cozy up somewhere, bring your favorite snack, and you just read for like an hour or two. And then you could hang out and have lunch together and discuss your book. You guys, I think I just came up with a genius idea. We'll play with that one, but for now, this is a great idea for you and for your family. Okay, let's jump to math because that was the second thing. It was reading and math were the two things that we slide to in the summer. Now, I remember being a kid, again, going back, and my mom would get these packets for summer learning, and they were for the next grade that we were heading into. It's kind of like to prep you and to not have summer slide. And oh my gosh, I hated these packets so much. I can like picture them right now. They came in this cardboard kit, and there was math and reading and projects and all of this stuff. And it was probably so cute. And my mom was probably so excited to get us to do it, but it just felt like she was trying to make me do school in the summer and I hated it. So that's not what we're trying to do here, okay? Don't our kids want the break, right? Just as much as we enjoy a break from our everyday things and our tasks, and I wish we got an actual summer break, that would be amazing. They don't want to feel like they're in school, but there are ways that they can have learning in everyday life, especially math. I'm thinking of older kids who may or may not have a summer job. That's an amazing thing to do in order to keep your learning up, right? They're in a new place, they're counting money, they're budgeting, they're understanding their earnings. That's fantastic. For those like tween ages, where they're sometimes coming up with creative ways to make money, like selling cotton candy or snow cones or lemonade or bracelets. And they have the cute little stand on the side of the road. That is a fantastic way to incorporate math into every day where they think that they're doing something fun, but they're actually learning. That's great. Get your kids in the kitchen. Recipes and cooking are great ways. They have to follow a recipe, which is reading. They have to measure ingredients, which is math. There are little ways that you can do fun things that you might not think are incorporating learning that's not handing your kid a workbook or making them do flashcards because that's boring. Another thing that I thought of was on road trips or wherever you're headed, calculating distance, calculating travel times. How far have we gone? How much farther do we have to go? Adding and subtracting. There's a lot of fun things with that. You could even add that into, hikes or things that you're doing, calculating the distance, calculating the elevation. Lots and lots of ways to really incorporate math into your everyday in the summer that you don't really even have to tell your kids that you're incorporating math. You just can smile to yourself and think they're getting math and they don't even know it. Now, besides those two things, reading and math, there are other ways to just kind of keep your mind engaged. It's not so much about the specifics of making sure you're staying up to date on your math facts, making sure that you are reading every single day. I think a big part of the summer slide, at least from my perspective, is just keeping your mind engaged. So, what are some ways that we can keep our minds engaged during the summer and keep our kids engaged during the summer? I've got a couple of things here really quick to go over. Number one, your outings, your family field trips, whether that's an actual road trip or where you're going, or just local things like to the zoo or the aquarium or a local museum, nature centers, hikes, all of the things around you. Most of those places have either brochures that you could pick up and read. They've got plaques that you can read. So when you're out and about with your kids, really encouraging just this interactive learning, encouraging them to ask questions, to engage with the exhibits. I remember being a kid, and every time we went somewhere that had brochures, my brother would have a stack of 100 of them, just take them in the car with us and sit there and be reading and learning everything, learning all of these little facts about all these stops along the way on our road trip. So, interactive learning around you, a really great way to keep your kids' minds engaged during the summer. Another fun thing and a really awesome skill to keep that brain working is language. So, Duolingo, my kids are currently learning Portuguese on Duolingo, which has been fun because their dad speaks Portuguese and Spanish, and then they go to jujitsu, all three of them, and their instructors are Brazilian and speak Portuguese. So that's been really fun. They get to work their brain, they get to use this new skill, they get to practice it. And that is a really different way for your brain to be engaged. And it's been fun. They have friends that are on there as well. They have a little like avatar that gets to earn points or rewards or recognition. It gives you little cheers you on each day. So that's a fun way to learn as well. Now, here's one that I thought goes along really well with back on part two, where we talked about um, a summer vision board and our summer bucket lists. That's kind of thinking about it in advance, right? Even though I had us do the practice of in reverse to kind of come up with it. But writing down a summer journal. How fun would this be to go get your kids new notebooks and just hand them and say, hey, you can write down the fun things that we do this summer. Or after you get home from an adventure or a family trip or even just a day at the pool and being like, go write about your day. Go document your experiences. And then they get to practice writing as well. It doesn't feel like a prompt that they would maybe have at school, but a way to kind of incorporate gratitude, number one, reflection. So, really good skills and qualities for your kids to have. as well as a fun way to document. And then when they get bored in the future, they have this other journal they can go back on and look. So I think a summer journal is a great way to keep their brains engaged and to keep them learning. Another fun thing that you can do with this is creative writing, such as stories, poems, also writing about their summer adventures. There's a fun thing that we've been doing too, if you have kids who aren't writing yet, is creative drawing. So one thing that me and Finn have been doing that's been really fun is we get a piece of paper and I close my eyes for 5 seconds and I just scribble something. And then he has to make a picture out of my scribble. And then we'll switch. He'll scribble something and I have to make a picture out of his scribble. This is also a really good road trip game if you're stuck in the car or on an airplane. Fun game to play. But you could add another level to this as well if you've got ages of like a age range of your kids too, where one of you scribbles, one of you draws, and then the next one has to write a caption or write a short little story or something about that picture. That could be a really fun thing as well. And again, it's just fun, it's a boredom buster, and it keeps their brains engaged. So I hope this is getting you kind of thinking about more creative ways to prevent the summer slide. It's not just about monitoring reading. It's not about throwing flashcards at your kids. It's not about grabbing a math workbook from Amazon, although you can do all of those things for sure. And if your kids are receptive to that, girl, go ahead and do it. But there are tons and tons of ways to keep our kids engaged and to do it in a way that is fun and to avoid that pushback, right? That, oh, mom, it's summer. I don't want to be doing school. I don't want to be learning, because that's the conversation we'll have if we try to push it, which is why it's just fun to kind of naturally have it fall in, right? We're going to head to the aquarium today. We're going to learn new things. And they just think it's a fun outing. Okay. The other thing that I thought about was developing a new skill. So that's pulling in some of these same things, right? Summer journals can be a new skill. Cooking in the kitchen can be a new skill. Learning to go out and garden if you're into that. Crafting. So, another thing that I was noticing as I was looking at our Get Out Pass, which is something that I mentioned in part two, where we talked about our bucket list, is not only did that have like fun outings like water parks and mini golf, but there was also other learning opportunities for kids to learn a new skill, like a painting class or a martial arts class or things like that. So, looking to resources like that too to get your kids out and trying something new is a great way to have their minds stay engaged, learning a new skill, getting out of their comfort zone, all fantastic things for their brain. Now, I don't think we can talk about learning and about staying up to date on our academic skills without the screen time conversation. So sometimes I think that we don't remember how much we ourselves were on screens as kids because we didn't have tablets, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media when we were growing up. But I'll tell you what, I can sit here and think back as a 90s kid on the amounts of Disney Channel and Nickelodeon that I watched and how much time I spent in my friend's basement playing Nintendo 64 or Super Mario. So we definitely had our fair share of screen time. Yeah, our kids have way more access to it now, but I think we can use that to our advantage as well, right? Putting boundaries around screen time so that our kids just aren't mindlessly on social media, which they should not be. I won't go off on my whole tangent and soapbox there, but using screen time in a way that is smart. There are a ton of free online resources for summer learning if you want to have that more structured approach. Khan Academy, I'll link all these below. Khan Academy has free resources. Scholastic has summer reading challenges and book lists. ABC Mouse is great for younger kids. National Geographic Kids has a ton of articles and videos and different activities for kids. So there are a lot of things out there where you can use screen time to your advantage instead of just like, here's YouTube and here's a bunch of memes and here's some people you can watch playing video games, right? Moms, we know the struggle. And speaking of games, games can be a great way to boost learning. Card games are awesome for encouraging strategic thinking. And math skills like Uno, Crazy Eights, Go Fish, games like Nerds, anything that uses a deck of cards is going to be great for strategic thinking and math. And then board games that also are going to help your kids foster their critical thinking, their teamwork, their problem solving. Chess is a great one, Monopoly, Scrabble, all of these things, which are also great when your kids come to you and say, "Hey, mom, I'm super bored. Here's a game. And there you go. You get to learn. And I just solved 2 problems for the price of 1." All right. So we're going to wrap this up because I think you get it. The summer slide is real. It does have an impact on our learning, but we don't need to stress. We don't need to worry. We can give ourselves a little bit of grace here and know that we can do some simple things to integrate learning into our everyday activities this summer. So pick something that feels like an easy start for you. I'm always talking about how we can start small and start slow. So do that. Pick something that seems super easy. If you already have reading down and it feels good, throw that in. If your family loves playing games, have that be your thing. If you're looking for more outings to go and do, just kind of have in the back of your mind, yeah, let's make sure that I'm maybe pushing them or encouraging them to read the plaques, to grab the brochure, to ask more questions. There are so many ways that we can keep these young minds engaged and learning without us feeling like we are the Trunch Bowl. Right? That we're this just awful stealer of summer fun because we want our kids to learn. There's a way to do this fun and effectively. And I really hope that this episode has given you some tips or some inspiration to even come up with your own creative ways to help your kids not slide this summer. So that is wrapping up part 4 of our 5-part series. I'll be back tomorrow with our final episode of this series, all about embracing boredom and whether it's awful or whether it's actually maybe kind of really sort of awesome and great for our kids. All right. And if you are loving this series, I would love to hear about it. So you could leave a review, you could shoot me a DM, you could reply to an email. But more than that, I would love it if you would share it with someone who needs it too. If you've gotten something from this, chances are there's another mom out there who could use these tips as well or this encouragement. So send it to your bestie, post it on your Facebook wall, post it on your Instagram, send it through a text message. I don't know, however you want to communicate that. It's so easy to send this episode to somebody that you know could use it. And help us grow this positive community. I've got some really fun plans in the works for the next month, 6 months, year about what I want to do here. And you are a huge part of that. So thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow with part 5. Thank you for hanging out with me again today. I'm so glad you pressed play. If you want to take a quick second to share this episode with someone you think would love it too, that would be amazing. If you're loving the show, make sure you go and leave a review on iTunes. Reviews are like magic for podcasts, and your review will help get this show into the ears of more amazing women just like you. And come find me over on Instagram. I'm there at positively.jessie, and I cannot wait to hang out with you some more. So until next time, have an amazing week.